Hi there everyone, I'm Mr. Kingalocious, and I'm here today to review Sonic Prologue, a fan film that was released recently on the 2nd of August this year. In this review I will cover plot, writing, visuals, editing, animation, voiceover, sound, and music. So, without further delay, let's get started. The plot for this film is pretty simple. Sonic fights Eggman, Tails finds Sonic, Tails wants to be friends with Sonic.
Wow, that hedgehog's fast and so cool. I wonder who he is.
Sonic finds out Tails is stalking him, Tails gets rejected, things happen, and they become friends. Now I may not know much about plots, but I know enough to say that this plot is boring. Eggman's the villain for the billionth time, there's no struggle, there's no character development, it's boring! That's not to say they didn't try, though. I definitely give them credit for trying to make struggle, and at least making an uplifting scene uplifting. The problem I have with their attempt to create struggle is that, sure, there's struggle, but this is Eggman, and an invention we've seen Sonic clearly defeat before. This isn't new. We've seen this before. We know it happens. And sure enough, it happens. The writing for this film could use a little polish, but for the most part the characters are written in character.
Oh wait, and don't tell me. Here comes the speech. Sonic, the world will soon be mine, and you will be destroyed, ha ha ha.
A minor setback, but this new model is special. It's faster, stronger, and smarter than the previous version.
Sonic, Eggman surprised me and then he...
Eggman stole the Master Emerald right under Knuckles' nose.
Make your way towards Eggman's ship. We'll rendezvous in a half hour and take on the zones as a team. See you in 30.
And that's really all that matters with any kind of fan writing in the end.
Seriously?
Visuals are, in essence, the cinematography of a film, including the environment, the colors, the camera angles, and the camera movement. Basically, whether a shot looks good or not. Looking at some of the shots throughout the film, I can see that they really did put thought into shots and what looks good, with potentially beautiful shots like this, 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 and this. I say potentially good because some of them are missing essential elements of realism camera-wise. For example, the entire film goes without using a single instance of depth of field. If you don't know what that is, look at a photograph and you'll notice that some sections are clear, while other sections are blurred. In films, depth of field is dynamic and is often used to shift the focus mid-shot. How would depth of field make this film look better? Take this shot for example. And here it is again with depth of field edited in. Doesn't it look better? Want another example? Take this shot now. And here it is again with depth of field. Doesn't it look so much better? And don't think that this is a hard thing to do, which requires lots of post-editing and an expensive video editor. The option for depth of field is right here in Source Filmmaker. Just turn the aperture up and move the focus distance to where you want it to be. Simple. It's a shame they didn't take advantage of that. It could have made it so much better. Editing is one of those things that people only notice if it's bad. And even then, most people don't even notice it unless it's really bad. Obviously, the editing of this film doesn't fall into the category of really bad. And in fact, it's pretty good. For the most part, the film keeps its editing rules and techniques in check. The 180-degree rule is not broken too often, there's a lot of cutting on the action, and other techniques like cutaways are used throughout the movie. I really have nothing negative to say about the editing. It's good. Animation is all about the movement of the characters, its realism, and its style. Now, all of the animation in this movie is done so much better than anything I could hope to do. But that doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean it's bad either. It certainly has a style to it. But I think what ruins it all is that almost every action begins with movement in the opposite direction. This can be great for things like jumping, but anything with contact involved, and it starts to get a little bit messy. In short, the ground becomes very slippery a lot in this film. Insert montage here. Another thing that really annoys me with the animation is that some parts of it are really stiff. In scenes like this, there's no lead up to movement at all. Movement simply starts and stops instantly. And that's not realistic at all. But other than that, the animation is very good, including physics and small details that I never would have thought of if I had animated this.
Pretty good. Who's a fighter with two?
I think the thing that a lot of people seem to miss about voiceover is audio quality. And in the end, that's what brings this film down. The voices sound echoey and processed, and this really ruins the feel for this film.
I barely even remember this place. We blasted through it pretty quickly.
One moment, I'm really into it, and then someone speaks and I'm reminded that this is fake.
Well, you're no fun.
At this point you may be wondering, how the hell am I getting such good audio quality? Well, there are 3 steps. 1. Get a good microphone that can record onto memory or an SD card. Right now, I'm using a Zoom H1, which as you can tell is quite good for its price. 2. Record in a suitable environment. This means someplace that is small and almost completely lined with soft material, like a walk-in wardrobe or a car, which is what I'm in right now. Blah blah blah. 3. Remove noise. No matter where you record, there's always going to be some background noise. This recording has background noise. To get rid of this, I simply use the noise removal tool from Audacity. This recording has background noise. And you're done. You now have a great quality recording to send to whoever needs it. Now that's over, I can comment on the actual voices. First up is Knuckles. The voice actor for Knuckles does a decent job with the voice, although it's kinda hard to pinpoint the person he's trying to imitate.
Sonic, Eggman surprised me and...
But the acting...
What's this, Knuckles? Like
Ugh!
No, actually,
Listen to it.
4th time.
Anyone could do that.
Tension's the last
I'll
thing
just
that
shift into
keep
my
me up
epic
to something
soldier
big.
voice and... Sonic, Eggman surprised me and then he... wait. What was my next line? Sorry, Knuckles. You're not doing it for me. Next up is Amy.
Stole the Master Emerald right under Knuckles' nose.
How does this work? Here's Amy from the games.
Isn't that a Chaos Emerald?
And here's Amy from the movie.
And you are. What's this, Knuckles? Like the 30th time?
Yeah, I know there is a little resemblance, but the acting is okay, I guess. It sounds like it's coming from someone who would really enjoy to act, but has no idea how to act. And then there's the sass that was never there in the first place.
Excuse me. What about us?
Sorry, Amy. You're not doing it for me. Then we have Dr. Eggman. Or Robotnik. Whatever. I can see this actor is good.
A minor setback. But this new model is special.
They got the voice pretty well, and the acting is the best in the film until... this. Quick lesson on evil laughing. Start small, then get big. Not the other way round. You're doing good, Eggman. Just please work on that evil laugh. After that, we have Tails.
Wait! Hey! Hold on! Hey!
Tails is kinda in the middle ground for this. The voice is great, although kinda female sounding if you think about it too much. But the acting is, well, more reading or reciting than acting. Listen to this.
Pretty good. I've just been flying the tornado around and decided to stop here.
It's so bland. This isn't looking good for the movie, guys. And finally, we reach Sonic. Both of them. That's right, there are 2 different Sonic actors, just in case one bad actor wasn't good enough. The modern Sonic guy is imitating the Roger Craig Smith voice.
Yo, Tails, there you are. How's it going, kid?
Which automatically gives him a 0. And the classic Sonic guy has a deeper voice than the modern Sonic guy.
Oh, wait, and don't tell me. Here comes the speech. Sonic, the world will soon be mine, and you will be destroyed, ha ha ha.
The acting for classic Sonic isn't bad, but the thing that ruins it is the voice. Who is this guy imitating? Seriously, who? It's too deep for Jaleel, too deep for Ryan, too deep for Jason, too expressive for Roger. This guy, who directed the film, by the way, is doing his own interpretation of Sonic that sounds older than the modern Sonic in the same film. Not good enough, sonny boy. A lot of people nowadays underestimate the importance of sound in film. As David Lynch once said, films are 50% visual and 50% sound. I think a lot of filmmakers forget this, and this film is not any different. The sound mixing is loud in the wrong places and soft in the wrong places. All of the elements of sound have not been covered, and the sounds themselves are only taken from a limited source. Firstly, about the volume. Films require a dynamic range. They need parts to be loud and parts to be soft. For example, in my currently in-progress redub for the Sonic OVA, the quietest part is at the beach at the beginning, and the loudest part is Metal Robotnik getting hit by his own missile. The difference in volume makes sense. Explosions are louder than silence. But the problem with the dynamic range in Sonic Prologue is that there isn't much. Consequently, Knuckles and Amy talking at the end sounds louder than most of the action sequences.
Time?
No, actually, it's the 4th time.
Which doesn't make sense. It ruins the realism. Secondly, this film at times ignores some of the elements of sound. The elements of sound are ambience, sound effects, dialogue, and music, which we'll ignore for now. In my redub, I've always made sure that all 3 of the elements, especially ambience, which can be easy to forget, are used all the time when appropriate. But notice how here, the ambience of the night fades out and leaves the background very plain.
Well, what do you know? It's the Metal Me again. Didn't I send that thing to the scrap heap back on Little Planet not too long ago?
This happens multiple times in the movie. Also notice how Metal Sonic's motors that move his limbs are almost always completely silent. It could be argued that these mistakes were for effect, but listen to the difference and see which one sounds better. And thirdly, the source. No, I'm not talking about the Matrix. For sound, you should always choose sounds from a source that both has a vast range of sounds and has sounds appropriate for the moment. If the sound sounds plain, layer more on top of it. If you can't find a source with a wide range of sounds, use multiple sources. I'd like to provide 2 examples of bad sources being used in this film. First example, this explosion. What kind of anticlimactic sound effect is that? It's not huge, not even stereo. Now this is my version. Second example, Robotnik's footsteps. These footsteps are meant for running, not walking, and so they sound like Robotnik slamming his feet down on the ground. As well as that, the footstep samples are obviously limited in number, and so the sound of his walking becomes very repetitive and fake. Now this is my version. Overall, the sounds are okay. You're just missing proper dynamic range, proper sources, and sometimes you're missing some elements. Now I think this section's droned on for far too long, so I'm gonna end it before it gets worse. And finally, we come across the last item on our list. I myself am a composer and have written songs for film before, as well as just writing music. First off, I'm gonna come out and say that, man, that guitar playing rocks! Now we've gotten that out of the way, we can deal with the more important stuff. I can tell from listening to the music in the film that Tubers McGee, the composer, has had no experience in writing for film. How can I tell? Listen to the quality difference between the music that has to relate to the imagery and the music that doesn't. I can also tell that Tubers doesn't have an awful lot of experience in synthesized music either. How? Listen to the synthesizers here. They're really, really plain. Another thing I need to criticize him for is his use of drum loops. Now, using drum loops in itself isn't a bad thing. I do it all the time. The problem is that he uses drum loops from FL Studio's default library. Some of them work in the music and some of them don't, but the problem I'm talking about is the fact that I could hear the song and then honestly say, this drum loop is so generic that it is downloaded 30,000 times every day. Also, what's with all the obvious references? I understand that if you're making a soundtrack for a Sonic film, you want there to be references, but references are supposed to be subtle. Otherwise it's just called plagiarism. Want an example of a subtle Sonic reference in fan music? Here you go. Now I expect some of you are thinking, as if you could do any better. And I want you to make up your own mind. But to show you what I do for my music in Sonic films, here is part of a track from my Sonic OVA redub. I think it's pretty good, but as I said before, you should make up your own mind. So, now I've finished beating the composer to a pulp, I want to give him a few suggestions that should help with the music for films thingy. Firstly, get FL Studio 11, so we don't have to cringe while listening to this cymbal. Secondly, buy Citrus. Citrus is still my favorite synthesizer to this day, and I use it in almost all of my songs. $180 is a lot of money, but in the end, it's totally worth it. Plus, you have the demo to try out now. Use it! Thirdly, get a better orchestral pack. I don't recognize the one you're using now, but I have a feeling it might be ImageLine's one. Currently I use a mix of Sonatina Symphonic Orchestra and Garritan Personal Orchestra. Garritan is paid, but Sonatina is free, and it has more round robins than you have currently. And finally, get some practice in composing for film. Someone asked you once, more will probably ask you later, and you don't want to disappoint. Overall, the music was okay at moments, but I reckon I could have done better. And that concludes our review of Sonic Prologue. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If not, hit the dislike button and tell me why. Don't worry, I'm still working on my Sonic OVA redub, and I'll get an update video up when I reach the next milestone. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.